It's been years now since it happened. The world is so different now, it's weird to even think back to what it used to be anymore. We didn't even really notice what was happening at first. There'd be weird stuff on the news, but there's always weird stuff on the news. And then the virus came out and nobody really knew where it came from. We just knew that everybody was getting really sick. And then Temple came forward with all of these medications that were supposed to help us. And I don't know if it was the virus or the medications, but the dead started to not stay dead. The world started to get a little out of control, and Temple came forward again, and this time they had robots, really sophisticated ones that were supposed to protect us from the dead ones. And that seemed to be working for a little while, and then something happened to the robots. All of a sudden, they were just shooting everything that moved. Zombies, because let's be honest, that's what they were. Other robots, people, anything that moved was a target. And things just started to get worse and weirder from there. Then there was these weird animals that would start showing up. Usually giant bugs and stuff. Nobody really knew where they were coming from. Conspiracy nuts had theories, obviously, like they did about everything else, but nobody really knew, and if they did, they weren't talking. And eventually it all just kind of led to the fucked up world that I'm living in now.
Things had been getting steadily worse for a couple years, but 2020 was when it all hit the fan. We lived in a sparsely populated area in a small town, so by the time we heard a temple sweep was coming through, we were ready to go. We packed up our shit and hid in an out-of-the-way location out in the bush. We were there a little more than a month. I'd gone into town for a supply run and she'd stayed back at camp as she wasn't up to the hike. If I knew then what I know now, I'd have never left. While I was gone, she'd gotten bored and decided to gather firewood. Distracted, she was too far from the camper when a group of zombies wandered in. Lenny, our last surviving dog, did her best to fend them off, but Melissa was still bitten, still infected. I found her sitting on the step holding her bitten arm, pale, when I finally made it back. We both knew what it meant for her. Her condition got bad, fast. It was over in less than a week.
I think you know what came next.
And now I'm alone. That was 4 years ago.
After losing Melissa, the world became very dark. I slept weeks away, ignoring my empty belly for days at a time. I stayed at that camp for a couple more weeks, but had to move after being spotted by a drone.
temple would send drones like this one out on sweeps, looking for survivors. I was pretty sure it saw me, so I moved to an old salvage yard, parking my camper among the wrecks. It wasn't long before they found me again. I woke one morning to a bot knocking at the door. It eventually gave up, but I knew it would be back before too long. I was right. I heard the drone overhead and managed to get out in time, but I lost the camper. When I decided to make my armor, I started with cutting a basic over-the-shoulder vest shape out of cardboard. From there, I took the soup cans, and what I'd do is I'd cut the cans down the center until I had two halves and hammer them flat. And then what I'd do is I'd cut a piece of cardboard, roughly the same size as the two steel plates, and I put that in between, and I'd wrap the whole thing up in duct tape. So I basically had a little steel plate. And what I ended up doing is I put 2, sometimes 3 layers of these double steel plates front and back of my vest. So there's probably 5 or 6 layers of steel plating in some places. From there, I just wrapped the whole mess up in duct tape, and I ended up finding a roll of this Gorilla Tape stuff. It's a lot like duct tape, but a lot more heavy duty, and that's where that kind of cool black color comes from. And I kind of figure it'll be a little bit more durable against the elements, the weather, hopefully. I kind of started monkeying with a helmet also. I used cardboard and cut shapes out to kind of build myself a neck guard in the back. And then I made this pair of goggles, kind of built it right into the helmet, built myself a face mask. It's all kind of an ongoing process. It's mostly just filling my time. But I figure it's better to have it and not need it than need it and not have it. There's been enough times over the years I kind of wish I would have had a bit of extra protection. Might as well use this shitty weather to do something constructive, I guess.